Pulumi, what does it look like where the BJP is concerned? A big meeting which happened late last night. What are you picking up from your sources where the BJP's poll plan is in question?
Well, Preeti, this was not the first meeting. This was part of a series of meetings. Of course, it was, there was a lot of spotlight on this meeting because it involved the Prime Minister. But before that, there was a series of meetings which lasted many long hours that happened between JP Nadda, Amit Shah, BL Santosh, and in the last meeting, RSS's Arun Kumar also joined in. Basically, this is to give a whole rejig to the organization. This obviously is an exercise that started after the Karnataka election results, where obviously the BJP suffered a jolt at the hands of the Congress party. So they're looking at organizational changes, keeping in mind the assembly elections that are to come up at the end of this year. Also the Odisha election, which is to come up along with the general elections of 2024. So they're looking at many, changes. And then, of course, possible rejig in the cabinet. That is being looked at simply because of the reason that you might want to pull in some people from the Union Council of Ministers into the party and the organization to focus on the party's work ahead of 2024. For instance,
are we going to see a cabinet reshuffle very soon, Pulumi?
It is not exactly as part of, it's not an entirely separate exercise. Like I was saying, for instance, if you move a Dharmendra Pradhan to the ground, saying go focus on the work in Odisha, that doesn't mean that he's been demoted or, it's a jolt for him, etc. He's just been pulled into the organizational work of the party on the ground in Odisha, which goes into assembly polls, and obviously there are general elections as well. Same goes for, there's been a lot of speculation, though the BJP in charge Tarun Chugh for Telangana denies it, that Bandi Sanjay, who's the state president of the BJP, could be removed. G. Kishan Reddy, who is Minister for Culture right now in the Union Council, could be asked to step in as state president of Telangana because Telangana goes into polls by the end of the year. But all of that, we're hoping that there'll be
Will there be a lot of changes, Pulumi, when it comes down, especially because state elections are also in order? Will there be adjustments made, for states in like Madhya Pradesh?
Of course. You'll need a lot of people. You'll need new general secretaries. That is what we're hearing, at least 3 new general secretaries, possibly 2 new national secretaries as well, wherein they will be given a little bit more on their plate in terms of these poll-bound states, in terms of the work that will be given to them to be focused more on these assembly elections and subsequently, of course, the general elections.
I just want to pull in Dr. Syed Zafar Islam into the conversation. We are waiting for Supriya Shrinate and Rajdeep Sardesai as well. But Dr. Syed Zafar Islam, is the BJP even mildly spooked with what went down in Patna and what possibly could go down? We still don't know, either in Bangalore, Shimla or Jaipur. But having said that, the formidable might of the Mahagathbandhan, if they do unite, has it spooked the BJP into at least looking at a battle of their lifetime going into 24?
Well, you can call it formidable, but we don't see it as formidable. We see it's a fragmented opposition. They are all driving their own interests, and there is no meeting of minds. So even though they are meeting not for unity but formality, and eventually they will go in different ways, because everyone has certain aspiration, like rightly so, because all the political parties will have certainly, and their leaders will certain responsibility towards their party, and of course they will have some aspiration as well to go up in the ladder and become something or the other. So it is very difficult for everyone to have a meeting of minds and agree on one name. Even they couldn't pick a convener. So there were a lot of difficulties in terms of proposing whose name needs to be proposed. So there were certain names which were proposed was not acceptable to many political parties. It is difficult, but let's see how it goes. All we can say that now we are not overly concerned about what the opposition.
But Dr. Islam, let's just talk about what could be your primary opponent, and that seems to be the Congress right now. If the Congress relies on the Karnataka template, now that template really did succeed for the Congress where Karnataka was concerned. Small, things if you look at. The sheer fact that this time they're very clear that ticket distribution only happened on internal surveys and nothing to do with favoritism and other dynamics. All of that put together does stitch a campaign which can be, if not smart, but something to contend with.
We exactly know what exactly we need to do on the ground. See, we have lost Karnataka election doesn't mean that we do not have a very well-oiled machine to fight the election. We have very senior people who have huge experience like Mr. Amit Shah ji, who is the Home Minister. Number of elections he has fought is unthinkable for other political parties to even match his the kind of success he has demonstrated. Purely because he understands the dynamics, he understands the ground, and he always had not hesitated in taking the firm call. This time also, even though we have lost the election, we understand that we have lost the election, but our vote percentage had not come off in Karnataka. There are certain things which has worked against us. We will definitely, those concerns we will address. But
Okay.
we are not overly concerned about unity, formality, or coming together. We know exactly, we have the confidence of the people of this great country, and there is a lot of admiration and for the Honorable Prime Minister. His
Dr. Islam,
leadership is
one would think that the BJP fights every election like its life depends on it. That has been your mantra and possibly something that's worked for you. I just want to bring in our other guests into this conversation. Rajdeep Sardesai, consulting editor, joins us, as well as Supriya Shrinate from the Congress spokesperson. But Rajdeep, yesterday we were in the studio discussing the Congress's the inside details, poll plan, what could it tantamount to in the days to come. We have the BJP's possible blueprint right now. And if you look at it, it's always been a well-oiled election machinery. It just needs a bit of tweaks here and there, and they're ready to go, it seems.
Look, the BJP is far superior to its political rivals when it comes to resources, when it comes to micromanagement, and when it comes to the leadership that it has at the center. The Congress, on the other hand, is learning over time to borrow in a way from the BJP's playbook. For example, the Congress has also now decided to set up mandal level committees. They've recognized, both parties have recognized, elections are won and lost increasingly at the booth level. Your ability to connect with voters. The BJP's advantage is that the BJP, because it has the resources and because it has this, as you said, a plan that they've already executed in the past, as we've seen in the last month with this Sampark Abhiyan. They've sent members of parliament to 2 constituencies across the country talking to booth level workers. Mera booth sabse mazboot doesn't just have the local leaders, but even every central minister and MP being sent to different constituencies, not just your own, but you've got to go and supervise what's happening in at least 2 other constituencies. Now, that level of outreach is very difficult for a party like the Congress to match. You've got 303 MPs of the BJP on one side, you've got 50 odd MPs of the Congress on the other. So the huge advantage that the BJP has of state power, resources, micromanagement, versus the Congress, which perhaps at the state level has one advantage at the moment over BJP, which is that they can successfully, possibly hyper-localize the campaign. The BJP's eggs are all in the Modi basket. What have they been doing in the last month? Going across the country saying, what have we achieved in the 9 years under the Modi government? Now that might be successful for a Lok Sabha strategy, but how do you tailor it for a Vidhan Sabha strategy when, let's say, governments like the Madhya Pradesh government may be suffering from fatigue and anti-incumbency? That's where the Congress is seeing an opportunity, and you're seeing the Congress now increasingly focusing on localizing and even hyper-localizing its campaign.